wanted to reread this book for you because it's been a long time since Mr. Robinson read it, and just to have it for you to be able to reread and understand how it relates to our social studies grade sixes. We're talking about communities that have helped to form Canada and make it what it is today. And this book was written very recently. And it's very relevant to what's going on in the world. I bought it, a year and a half ago. And it's called Sea Prayer, and it's by an author of novels, like long adult novels that I've read before, who I just love. And it's called Sea Prayer by Khaled Hosseini. This book is dedicated to the thousands of refugees who have perished at sea, fleeing war and persecution. So there, right there in the dedication, you're getting an idea of why people have chosen to leave their homes and to come to a new world, to a new country. So let's see what this book is about, and think about what the word refugees means. You hear that word a lot in Canada, for good reason, and I want you to think about what that might be. My dear Marwan, in the long summers of childhood, when I was a boy, the age you are now, your uncles and I spread our mattresses on the roof of your grandfather's farmhouse outside of Holmes. So what's the author talking about? And it seems like he's almost writing a letter when it starts off, my dear Marwan. But he's talking about his own childhood when he was a boy. His uncles Marwan's uncles would be his brothers. It looks quite different from the view we would see out in the country around here, doesn't it? I wonder where this is set. Where is this story happening? We woke in the mornings to the stirring of olive trees in the breeze, to the bleating, that's a sound, kind of like mooing is the sound that cows make. Bleating is the sound that a goat makes. To the bleating of your grandmother's goat, the clanking of her cooking pots, the air cool in the sun, a pale rim of persimmon to the east. Persimmon is a fruit that's got a very bright red skin on it. So that looks like it's got a red sunrise. And we don't have olive trees here in Canada, so I don't think this is happening in Canada. Oh, isn't that beautiful? What a lovely walk. We took you there when you were a toddler. I have a sharply etched memory of your mother from that trip, showing you a herd of cows grazing in a field blown through with wildflowers. Those look like poppies, don't they? And that kind of makes me think of Flanders Fields in World War I and the poem In Flanders Fields where the poppies grow. It's a beautiful setting though, isn't it? Like going for a walk in the country around here, but we would see something a little different, I think. I wish you hadn't been so young. You wouldn't have forgotten the farmhouse, the soot of its stone walls, the creek where your uncles and I built 1,000 boyhood dams. Have you guys been out in the forest building anything while you've been off? It's fun to play outside and build things. That's a different kind of stove or oven for cooking, like for boiling water for a tea kettle. Very different from what I use. I wish you remembered Homs as I do, Marwan. In its bustling old city, a mosque for us Muslims, a church for our Christian neighbors, and a grand souk for all of us to haggle over gold pendants and fresh produce and bridal dresses. Now, what do you think that means? What do you think a grand souk is? If it's where you can go to haggle over gold pendants and fresh produce and bridal dresses, I would infer that that's probably like going downtown to Jackson Square or to the farmer's market there, where you can go shopping. And it says the old city, so I guess there's a newer part, kind of like going up in the escarpment where we have newer buildings than what's downtown in Hamilton. I wish you remembered the crowded lanes smelling of fried kebab and the evening walks we took with your mother around Clock Tower Square. That's kind of like going downtown and seeing the fountain in Gore Park. And there's people using bicycles to get around, a lot of people walking. And look at the pictures. Where do you think this could be happening? I see a satellite for watching TV or something, but I don't see any cars. A lot of people walking and people wearing scarves on their heads. Yeah. But that life, that time, seems like a dream now, even to me, like some long dissolved rumor. A rumor is something that people say, but you don't necessarily know if it's true. Because it seems like a pretty nice, sad city to live in. Peaceful. People walking around doing their normal things. This does not look peaceful, does it? First came the protests, then the siege. What does a siege mean, you guys? Do you remember from grade 4 when you talked about medieval times? A siege is when somebody attacks you. Wow. Such a difference in the pictures and the illustrations with all the black and gray. The sky spitting bombs, starvation, burials. Well, what can you infer has been happening then from those stark words? People are dying. But this is happening where they live. These are the things you know. So Marwan has grown up in this city, in this country, not the country that his parents were remembering and enjoyed. This is not a place you would want to live, and which it only makes me realize, I know this time that we're having is hard right now, being stuck inside and not seeing our friends, but we're not in real danger. You can't control where a bomb lands and whose home that might be. So do you have some ideas why somebody would want to leave that place? You know a bomb crater can be made into a swimming hole. You have learned dark blood is better news than bright. What does he mean by that? Dark blood, I think, means that it's dry. It happened a long time ago. It's like it's an old drawing. It's not something fresh. But if the blood is bright, what does that mean? It means somebody just died and the blood hasn't dried yet. That would be a lot scarier to find. Look where they're living. That looks so dangerous. You've learned that mothers and sisters and classmates can be found in narrow gaps between concrete, bricks, and exposed beams, like little patches of sunlit skin shining in the dark. You know what that reminds me of, boys and girls? That reminds me of, Anne Frank, and the way her family had to hide in a small attic for years because she was Jewish. And they would have been killed if the Germans had found them. So what are people doing here? I see people walking, but he's got something on his head. So does this person. They're walking with only the things that they can carry. And why are they doing that? So that they can escape the danger of being killed. And where are they now? They're just sitting and waiting. What are they waiting for, boys and girls? What could help them? Your mother is here tonight, Marwan, with us on this cold and moonlit beach, among the crying babies and the women worrying in tongues we don't speak. Afghans and Somalis and Iraqis and Eritreans and Syrians. Those are all countries in northern Africa. All of us impatient for sunrise, all of us in dread of it, all of us in search of home. Why are they impatient for the sunrise? What do you think will happen when the sun rises? And why would they be scared of it if they're in dread of it? I have heard it said that we are the uninvited. We are the unwelcome. We should take our misfortune elsewhere. Well, they've been pushed out of their own homes. They've been pushed out of their own cities. Their lives are at risk. They don't really have much choice but to leave, do they? It's not like they have weapons to protect themselves from bombs. But I hear your mother's voice over the tide, and she whispers in my ear, "Oh, if they only saw, my darling, even half of what you have, if only they saw, they would say kinder things, surely." It's easy for people who have never had to be bombed and risk losing their homes and their families. It's easy for them to criticize and say that they shouldn't be coming here. But it's not the right thing to do, is it? I look at your profile in the glow of this 3/4 moon, my boy. Your eyelashes like calligraphy, closed in guileless sleep. Calligraphy is a beautiful, delicate handwriting that's done with a paintbrush and ink. Very fine black lines. I said to you, hold my hand. Nothing bad will happen. Can that be true? Not really, eh? I think that's what they were waiting for the sun to come up. They found a boat. These are only words, a father's tricks. It slays your father, your faith in him, because all I can think tonight is how deep the sea and how vast, how indifferent, how powerless I am to protect you from it. Look at all the people in the boat. It's so scary to have to go out in a boat over a huge expanse of land when you can't water and you can't even see where land is. But to have so many people on the boat would make it extra dangerous. Oh my. All I can do is pray. Pray that they get back to land safely and somewhere safe to live, where somebody will invite them to stay. Pray God steers the vessel true when the shores slip out of eye shot and we are a fly speck in the heaving waters, pitching and tilting, easily swallowed. Because you are precious cargo, Marwan, the most precious there ever was. I pray the sea knows this. Inshallah. How I pray the sea knows this. It's not a nice choice to have to make, is it? It must be such a difficult choice for a family to have to do. Seapair was inspired by the story of Alan Kurdi, the 3-year-old Syrian refugee who drowned in the Mediterranean Sea trying to reach safety in Europe in 2015. In the year after Alan's death, 4,176 others died or went missing attempting that same journey. Does that give you an idea of why people might want to come to Canada? We are so lucky where we live.